Hey everybody, it's X, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing the Murders at Karlov Manor Sealed Qualifier Play-In Best of One events. For those who don't know, Qualifier Play-In events are events where you get to compete for entry into the upcoming Qualifier Weekend, which is an invite-only event that could gain you access into the next Arena Championship, kind of the top-tier competitive Magic Arena event with a bunch of cash prizes on the line. So pretty cool, pretty competitive event here. My favorite thing about it is the only place you can spend your play-in points that you get from being top 1500 Mythic or from winning a bunch of best of 3 drafts. So it's a great event for taking those play-in points and converting them into gems that you can use in any format. So without further ado, let's just bust open our Murders at Karlov Manor boosters and see what we get to play with today. Alright, well these rares are kind of gross in the bad way. We have 2 copies of Case of the Ransacked Lab, which do absolutely nothing outside of Constructed. We've got a Thundering Falls and an Elegant Parlor, which are basically just soaking up our chances of opening bombs. We've got a Doorkeeper Thrall that does nothing outside of Constructed, and a Barbed Servitor that is really, really slow for draft and sealed and just not really gonna be worth it. We've got 4 good rares. Going from weakest to strongest, I'd say Lost in the Maze is decent. There is a really good common in this format called Out Cold. That's 3 and a blue to tap and stun 2 cards, and you investigate to draw a card later. That card is quite good, so if you're casting Lost in the Maze for 4 mana or less, then Out Cold is generally better, which is what makes this not that insanely powerful, but it does have the added flexibility that helps it quite a lot, where if you have a bunch of mana, you can try to tap and stun your opponent's whole board to try to kill them on the crackback, or it has the flexibility of giving your tapped creatures hexproof to play around your opponent's removal spells. So a couple things that do make it a pretty decent rare, but nothing super incredible. Next strongest is probably our 2 copies of Hide in Plain Sight, so we're likely to try pretty hard to play green when we have 2 copies of this thing. It's just quite a good draw spell. So for 4 mana, we look at the top 5 cards of our library, we cloak 2 of them and put the rest on bottom of our library. So we just get to pick the best 2 creatures from our top 5 cards, put them right into play as face down 2/2s. So we're drawing the best cards in our top 5 while still committing 4 power and toughness to the board for 4 mana. So this is just really, really solid for that mana cost. Again, not like completely insane or anything, but this is very close to what I would classify as kind of like a bomb rare. It's very, very good. Because again, if you're choosing creatures to cloak, then you can just flip them up for their mana cost later, even if they don't have a native ability to flip themselves up. So really nice, especially having 2 copies of that. For our best rare, at least the funnest rare, we have Kaya, Spirit's Justice, 2 a white and a black for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. Whenever 1 or more creatures we control and or creatures in our graveyard are put into exile, we get to choose a creature card from among them, and until end of turn, a token we control becomes a copy of it and gains flying. I guess this is pretty narrow. Yeah, Kaya's actually pretty narrow. I probably should have put Kaya in between Lost in the Maze and the Hide in Plain Sights. I guess the Hide in Plain Sights are our best rares, but this is a fun one. I mean, you make some flyers with a +1 ability, and then you get to do that surveilling and exile your best creature from grave to turn one of your flying tokens into a copy of that creature and get a lot of damage in there. She's also got built-in removal. You can exile your spirit token and their best creature, or you can exile just some other weak creature you have sitting around to delete one of your opponents. So with the right cards to build around, or maybe some dog walkers or something to spit out 1/1 dogs to help use her as a removal, she can be pretty great. So very weak sealed pool, I would say. Honestly, I think our rares are even worse than our 6 rare sealed pool we had the first time around, which is sad for an 8 rare sealed pool, but the double Hide in Plain Sight is pretty solid, and Lost in the Maze and Kaya are nothing to scoff at, so really leaning on double Hide in Plain Sight over anything else. Hopefully our green is pretty solid, but let's check out our colorless and multicolored, see what kind of fixing we have. We've got 1 Case of the Shattered Pact, which is pretty mediocre fixing unless you are playing all 5 colors, and then Public Thoroughfare, which is also pretty mediocre fixing, but it can get whatever colors you need, so you can play it in any deck that's trying to splash. For multicolored, lots of stuff here. Let's put the disguise stuff all in one pile, because you can also kind of treat those as monocolored cards if we need to. Okay, and then same with like the hybrid cards, sort of. Let's make a hybrid card pile and then sort the multicolored stuff here. It's a lot of red. Like, red, 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 red. Yeah, all these 2-color cards are in red. 2 of our hybrid cards are in red. At least part of them. Okay. So we've got Gleaming Geardrake towards blue-red, which is pretty great if you have a lot of synergies for it and just solid value by itself. A 2-mana 2/2 flyer that's drawing you a card off that clue, basically, because the clue gives it the counter to make it a 2/2 flyer. Breakout is a fine draw spell for green-red. You just pick your best creature out of the top 6, put in your hand. Like, it's okay, it's not great. Rune Brand Juggler. You need a lot of ways to suspect your creatures. That way you can sacrifice like a suspected token later to give something -5/-5, but it can be good with enough synergy. Lightning Helix, very self-explanatory, just great removal or a way to finish your opponent off. And then in green-blue, we have Evidence Examiner, which is good if you can fill that graveyard a lot, and Repulsive Mutation. Pretty decent counterspell. I mean, you gotta dump a lot of mana into it, but that's kind of fun. This is an expensive card, but the flexibility is fun where you use it as a counterspell or a combat trick. I imagine it's going to be very rare to get to use it as both, because then you'd have to be in a position where your opponent is trying to cast a spell during combat. But if they do try to cast a spell during combat, you could absolutely blow them out. Counter their combat trick while buffing one of your creatures in instant speed to win a fight. That's Magical Christmas Land. That's not going to happen often, and it's a lot of mana to play this, so it's probably just okay. Probably on par with like Evidence Examiner or something, where these are like solid if you have good ways to use them well. Okay, and then we just have all the hybrid cards that we can take a peek at, whatever we're playing. These are all decent. No Dog Walkers this time around, which is the best of these flip cards, but Technician and Snoop are both pretty good, and then Savior and Warden are both kind of whatever. So for the hybrid cards, my favorite of these is Fuss and Bother by quite a bit, because if you are a super aggressive go-wide deck, then Fuss is a really good instance, and you get the flexibility of having Bother if you just top deck this card late game when you're not in a good position to use Fuss, like if you're not ahead. So yeah, pretty solid multicolored stuff, but nothing that really pushes me anywhere. I don't like really want to go green-blue just to get these working. I don't really want to go black-white just to get Kaya working. It really just depends on what the individual colors have, what could push us in what direction. So starting off, we have like nothing in white. Doorkeeper Thrall isn't even playable, because it's going to counter all of our own Enter the Battlefield abilities as well. So super bad when our best white creatures are the Case File Auditors, just because they can pick up our makeshift bindings from our deck. And that's saying a lot that these are probably our best creatures in white, because they're not that good with only 2 enchantments in your deck. It's just that these enchantments are so good. And we have no cases to help them pull out any other enchantments. Yeah, white is like just not deep enough to really do anything unless we're splashing it for Kaya and makeshift bindings or something. Blue, there are a lot more spells in blue, but 2 of them, Case of the Ransacked Labs, don't do anything. We do have the Lost in the Maze. We've got double Out Cold. That's a little awkward. These are competing for very, very similar slots in the deck. So we'd probably just play like 1 Out Cold and 1 Lost in the Maze, meet in the middle there. I really don't like the Behind the Mask combat trick. Criminologist is a very filler creature, but I guess we'd have to play it because the creature count's pretty low. Yeah, I mean, blue has enough cards as a support color that if we have super powerful multicolored cards with whatever main color we're playing that involve blue, like if our green's really good, We have enough blue to go green-blue to get those green-blue multicolored cards in here, but it's certainly not pulling me into the color by itself. Now for our black, do not really like toxin analysis. Mortipede doesn't do anything if you're not collecting evidence or returning creatures from grave to hand. I guess it works with Kaya as well, so there's that. When Kaya exiles stuff from your grave, that triggers Mortipede. These are 3 mana because they're disguise cards. Yeah, we've got good removal. We have 1 Murder and 1 Extract the Confession. I think those are both good removal spells. The Double Unscrupulous Agents are decent value plays, and they work very well with our Kaya, which is probably our biggest reason to be in black. They work well with the Kaya because we exile this and our opponent's best creature, since they get their value right when they hit the board. The 1/1 body doesn't do too much. I still don't think Barbed Servitor is a particularly good rare. Your opponent's just gonna block it with a 2/2 over and over again. So it's a 4 mana card that keeps dealing 2 damage to your opponent. Like, I guess, no, you suspect it. Yeah, that's quite bad. Never mind. So you suspect it so it gets menace. So you can't block your opponent's big creature to deal a bunch of damage to them, but they also can't block it with just 1 creature. They have to double block it to stop it from going. But if they just keep letting it hit them, then you've played a more expensive Phyrexian Arena, and Phyrexian Arena hasn't even been good in standard limited sets lately. It's just been okay. Yeah, no, I'm off it. I do not love that card. Yeah, and then there's some filler stuff. I mean, we have Murder and Extract a Confession. We have Agents to go with Kaya, I guess. I'm not pumped about it, but it's playable. Red is a Galvanize, a Person of Interest, and some beef with some Offender at Larges. Braggarts. Red is almost nothing also. Green better be good, and it is. We have 2 hard-hitting questions, which are the best removal spells we've seen this entire time. 1 mana to have a creature you control deal damage equal to its power to a creature or planeswalker you don't control, so really efficient removal. We then have 2 copies of Nervous Gardener, which is excellent mana fixing. They are going to draw us an additional land. That land can be any land card with a basic land type, so this can even grab our rare lands if we go really splashy. And yeah, it's basically like a 4 mana 2/2 that also draws us a land, which is pretty solid value. We've got Eavesdropper, which is great value, 4 mana for a 3/3 that draws us a card off the clue. We have the best cards in the sealed pool with the 2 copies of Hide in Plain Sight. We have Topiary Panther for even more fixing, as well as a great card to throw 6 evidence into our graveyard with our Vitu-Ghazi Inspector. I am very happy with our green, just as the best color in the sealed pool. I think there would be other sealed pools where I saw the green and I was like, yeah, this is okay. But after seeing the rest of our colors, I'm like, okay, that green is awesome. Because the rest of our colors are just so empty for the most part. It's really because we open up so much multicolored, really. Unfortunately, a lot of which isn't even like hybrid mana disguise stuff. Like, we just opened a bunch of, like, signpost uncommons with no home here. Right? Like, we have the blue-red Gear Drake. Like, what would a blue-red deck even look like in the sealed pool? Like, almost no creatures. Be a 10-creature deck with Case of the Ransacked Labs in it. I guess there's some clue production. A tiny bit to go with the thing. Yeah, no, there's really no home for the Drake, for the Juggler, red-black. That mana curve right there. I guess the suspect cards help that. Yeah, I mean, I guess we have, like, a bunch of different really mediocre 2-color decks available. But green is definitely the best color, so let's see what What would we pair with green here with these multicolored cards, honestly? I mean, we could go green, white, and black. We have 2 Nervous Gardeners and a Topiary Panther, and we have the all 3 color non-basic land. I mean, what were the rare lands? Please tell me we had the black-white land. I think we did. I could be wrong about that. Let's see. No, we got red-white and blue-red. I don't even know if these are helpful. Because we might be, like, we're green as the core color, and then we could just play black as the secondary and splash a little bit of white, splash in Makeshift Bindings and Kaya. I imagine that's where we want to be, because then we get to play Murder even though it's double black. So, yeah, like green, black. Green's our best color. Black gives us solid removal and gets us halfway towards Kaya. And then we just splash in a little bit of white for Kaya. 2 Makeshift Bindings in Kaya. Yeah, I honestly don't see anything else this sealed pool can really do. It's going to be a much more self-explanatory build than last time. Like, we could go just pure green-blue also, going for the Evidence Examiner route. I don't think we're that good at dumping evidence into our grave, though. Guess we play the Saviors here. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the sealed pool here. I'm looking at everything that we have for backup plans. And I just do not think they are that good. I am gonna go green, black, splash white for Kaya. Alright, so let's cut some of the cards that don't really do much here, like Cease and Desist. Coroner's quite slow. Mortipede, we don't have that many graveyard synergies. Servitor's really slow. I like these 2-1 flyers a lot better than the Stalkers, just a lot faster. And we've still got just some green beef. I guess not a lot of beef if we cut the Stalkers. Yeah. I don't know. Let's cut all these for sure. And then Slime Against Humanity does stone cold nothing. This is a 3-mana 2/2, and that is it. So that definitely gets cut. 3 mana to equip, that is a lot. I don't even think the sacking it to draw a card flexibility is that good, because as long as we have like 1 creature on board, it's probably usually better to just keep it anyway, even though it's not the greatest equipment. Yeah, I'm not that into rope. Definitely not that into Toxic Analysis. Doesn't give any kind of buffs. We're just going to trade off, but we'll leave a clue behind to make sure we're not down a card when we trade off. Still not great. Drop those. And then 3 creatures and call it a deck, I guess. So, I mean, what do we even have for graveyard synergies? We don't have any graveyard recursion in this sealed pool. We have nothing to pick up cards from our grave. Yeah, no, we didn't get the return 2 creatures from grave to hand. I think that would have been really good in this deck. But we didn't open any of that, so... Fester Leech and Aftermath Analyst. Or Analyst. Neither of these are particularly exciting here. I guess like Fester Leech at least is a good little aggro dork, but... No, we just don't have synergies for these. We don't really care about flooding that graveyard up. And then that leaves only 1 more card to cut. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 disguise cards. And Tipsters also just ramp when we're not playing face-down creatures, so that seems super fine. I guess we can just cut one of the 2 Stalkers. I was thinking about cutting both earlier, so might as well just drop 1. And that looks fine. I've got 5 mana flips on this and this. 2 6-mana plays if we don't end up land cycling the Panther. That's fine. Again, Interrogators, we're just going to play as a roadblock in the endgame and then draw a card off the clue. We're not trying to kill anybody with the poison, but it's a fine card for a slower deck, even if you aren't killing people with the poison. Yeah, this all looks perfectly solid to me, and I don't think we have enough top end to really care about throwing an 18th land in here, especially with 2 copies of Gardeners to pick up a land, maybe a Topiary Panther to pick up a land, so just go for the 17 lands. We only have Kaya and Double Binding that need white mana, so I doubt we're playing more than 1 Plains. When we have Plains, Thoroughfare, 2 Gardeners, and Panther. So I think it's supposed to be 1 Plains, 2 more Forests here, 1 more Swamp, because the green gets us to Gardeners that flip into any land type, and the green gets us to Panthers that pull out any land type. Green's definitely the most important color, and the most represented color, 12, 9, 6. So we go 8, 7, 1 with the Thoroughfare, and 3 ways to tutor for lands. Yeah, we will call it a deck here. All right, here we have a look at the final deck list for today. We're on a green-black deck, splashing a little bit of white for Kaya, Spirit's Justice. So with that Kaya splash, we can start maybe exiling some of our smaller creatures, like our 1/1 Unscrupulous Agents and Tunnel Tipsters and stuff, to clear out our opponent's best creatures, and then just start spitting out an army of Spirits. Pretty solid Planeswalker to try to take over the game with. But for the core strategy of the deck, we're kind of just curving out with general green and black bodies. We've got a lot of disguise cards to go with the Tunnel Tipster here to get some +1/+1 counters on it from playing so much face-down stuff. We've got some good 2-for-1 value with cards like Nervous Gardener giving us a creature and a land, cards like Loxodon Eavesdropper giving us a creature and drawing a card off a clue, and a couple Hide in Plain Sights, getting us 2 creatures off of this 1 spell. So a lot of great stuff there. A lot of good, efficient interaction with 2 hard-hitting questions, Extract a Confession, Murder, and 2 Makeshift Bindings. So really all interaction all day. We just curve out and deal with anything our opponent does. Hopefully it'll play out pretty well for us, but we'll find out soon enough as we head into the gameplay. Here we are on the play for game 1. We're on a mono-green hand, which isn't great, but we have Tipster into Eavesdropper for a very solid curve out, and probably don't need Murder till they play a super scary card, so as long as they don't have one of the like 2 or 3 mana rares, we should be fine. But there are some really good like 3 mana rares that are just super beefy and a card advantage engine, like the 3 mana 2/4 flyer that spits out clue tokens all over the place. Stuff like that we really don't want to see here. The Snarling Gorehound from our opponent. They're on black-red, and they have the Shock for our Tipster, which could be backbreaking. We do find a Public Thoroughfare, which means no Inspector this turn, but that's fine. We now have black and or white mana. I guess it's not and or, we only have one or the other right now. Vengeful Tracker now, so they get to surveil. And they are going to keep the cards. They're probably looking for a land there. Let's drop a Savior here. I don't think I Extract a Confession, the 1/1 Menace. Especially one if I hit another land. I could go Confession plus Agent. I guess it has to be a Swamp that we hit, but yeah, let's just buy time against Rakdos. Let's take the trade here. It's a Repeat Offender for a 2/1 now. They're going to surveil 1 again. Find the Nervous Gardener. I really need to flip that. Really need to flip that. If I play it now, I'm not blocking at all this turn, but it's only 3 damage. Guess we do play it here. Guarantee we can flip it next turn. And I guess if they kill it, we can't flip it next turn, but also if I don't top deck a land and I don't play it, I can't flip it next turn anyway, since it's not on the board at that point. Take our 3. Down to 15. Lamplight Phoenix. When it dies, they can exile it and collect evidence 4 if they do return it to the battlefield tapped. If I kill it right now, they don't have enough evidence in their graveyard. So let's grab the black source. Let's grab the swamp. And let's kill it right now. Before it can keep coming back forever. And I still feel I am on the defensive, so I am just going to hold Gardener up so that we can trade into Offender on blocks. Show me that combat trick. They do not. We are going to trade. Case of the Crimson Pulse. If they ever solve this, we are in massive danger. Because then, at the beginning of their upkeep, they discard their hand, then draw 2, so they just start drawing 3 cards a turn if they ever solve that. And all they have to do to solve it is just play their hand. So just play the game. And our Unscrupulous Agent is terrible against that. Because they're just going to dump their hand out every turn anyway. And we're just going to get them closer if we do it now. Alright, well, I believe we just need to set up mana still, make sure we keep hitting lands. So let's just Gardener immediately so I don't miss land for turn here. I've got the white source off the Thoroughfare. Let's get second natural black source to play both of these in one turn if we need to. I can play 3 green spells in one turn off of Thoroughfare Double Forest if we need. I think there's only like one card I can think of in this format that would blow up my non-basic, because it's not an artifact or anything. And it's a rare, it's the Buzzsaw thingy. And if they blow it up, I get to search for my planes anyway. With that rare, it would blow it up and let me tutor for a basic. Okay, they've got 2 Gorehounds on board now and 3 cards in hand. Does this trigger when we cast it? It does trigger when we cast it, so we can just hard cast that later. So for now, we can go Eavesdropper plus Inspector. Just put as much power on this board as possible. I will collect the evidence, even though that stops the extract evidence here. Just make sure I've got real good blocks. You know what? Gardener for face down is fine. And if Gardener ends up in my graveyard, then I have 6 evidence in there again for Extract a Confession. If we collect the evidence on the Extract a Confession, it'll be able to kill the biggest creature our opponent has instead of whatever creature they want. Okay, so yeah, they make us lose the Eavesdropper. That's a bummer. No blocks for the Menace this turn. They have 2 mana up. This could be a 2 mana flip. So it can't be anything bigger than a 2/2. Anything that trades better into these things. This thing is 5 mana to flip. Yeesh. I kind of want to try to get a lifelink attack off with this thing to win the race, like locked in. So I'm tempted to just tap out for a 6/6 this turn. Eh, I guess we'll see how this plays out. Tap out for a 6/6 and the next turn just play and flip the Savior to gain 6 off the swing. If they don't have like another Extract a Confession or a Murder or something. They do have another Extract a Confession or a Murder or something. So we're at 9, they're at 14. Still feels like I can win the race with this lifelinking in the sky. That's 5 mana to play plus flip. That leaves me with 2 mana up, thanks to drawing the 7th land. So I could extract the Confession their face down. Alternatively, I can sack the Clue. I don't want to Unscrupulous Agent them. I guess with 2 cards in their hand, it should be easy enough for them to solve this next turn regardless. They play a land and then play both of their spells. They're going to have 3 cards in their hand next turn at the start of the turn, so they'll need to play 3 things. So land, spell can do it. I don't know. I just don't know. Why is it wanting to tap Public Thoroughfare? What is going on with the auto tapper? Yeah, for my generic mana disguise, I want to tap my mana of any color. Auto tapper has been extra whack this format. Okay, they're at 10, facing a 2/1 flying lifelink. I'm gonna just draw the card. I'm not gonna exile a card from hand. Maybe their last cards are too expensive. They did hit a land here, so that makes it more likely they can play both the cards. Like just double disguise here. Snap no blocks. If this is the 5/4 that gives +2/+0 to something, that is so much damage they're presenting there. They would put us to 2 off that thing. Rebel Belt Braggart. Well, I'm glad I've got Extract the Confession, because that is not staying. And I'm glad I didn't exile a card from their hand. Ooh, what a good draw. Hide in plain sight now? Let's go. They are not getting anywhere near my face now. Let's go 6 mana value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boop. Let's hit them for 6, go to 9, and still have 2 blockers up. Well, that's a good chunk to get right out of here. What are the odds? They have 6 mana. Unless this card in their hand is like 5 mana and they top deck something that costs 3 or more, they're still going to empty the hand. So let's agent this card. Let them solve their case next turn. Because they still don't draw the cards till their next upkeep after this one. Their last card was Judith. I actually don't know how good that is for me, because unless they hit another instant or sorcery, Judith doesn't even matter that much. And they did top deck a 3 mana card, so they wouldn't have been able to cast Judith and the 3-drop. But they're also at 4 life. They're like literally dead, aren't they? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, they go to 1. They block everybody, go to 1. That feels worth it. Because they have to block everybody. They have to lose every creature they have. They have to block everyone but 1/1/1 and 1/2/2. None of these face downs for only 3 mana will be able to beat a 2/2. They might be able to survive a 2/2 and bounce off each other. But it looks like it's a dog walker, which is a double surveil, and 2 dogs, which is moderately scary. I mean, I'm at 11 life though from the savior, so we're fine. The thing that's moderately scary is that they are drawing 3 next turn, so they do get to dig a little to try to find lethal, but they have to kill an 11 life opponent that has a 5/6 blocker up. And they have to do it now. Because unless they have a board wipe in their deck, can't imagine they can survive the attack next turn if a single creature gets through, they're dead. I guess if all 3 cards they drew were creatures, then they're good. They all have to be like 2 mana or less creatures. Yeah, there's the concession. We do get to start things off 1-0. All right, here we are for game 2. About to get real annoying in here. Let's go. I'm just gonna double Unscrupulous Agent turn 3. Well, we gotta draw into our finishers. We need to draw into our beef, but this is not the worst start in the universe, and it's pretty funny. Here we go. Yeah, I can't imagine not committing to the board against an aggro deck is the right thing to do, so I guess they have more options of what they want to exile here, but they are still going to be down 2 cards. Got rid of a removal spell. And another red herring. Alright, not bad at all. Just get rid of the first red herring. Doubt these are going to do anything better than teaming up, trading up into a 2-2. If it weren't for the fact that investigated, I would be super fine with them killing my mana here. Alright, well, there's definitely a route to losing this game, and that is not finding any of our fixing. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, let's just play that. Creature? I don't get to land cycle with it, though, but we didn't hit the plains, so we're closer to it. Very good top deck with the hide in plain sight. About 4 out of 6 mana. I probably have to sack the 6 drop and just start lifelinking. Yeah. Okay. Just a 2-2 menace can't block. I mean, I'm just gonna hold on to Extract a Confession because for now we're just gonna outrace them with a lifelinker. Like, I hit them for 2 a turn and they hit me for 0 a turn because I take 2 and gain 2 every turn at this rate. So I'm not really going to deal with the Juggler until they're close to the 5 mana where they can use it as removal. Okay. There we go. That is a beautiful draw. Okay, now that I'm about to have Makeshift Binding and or Kaya up, I think I will Extract a Confession here and kill one of these things. We're also no longer taking 0 every turn. We are actually taking 2 a turn if I don't kill one of the 2 cards. And they chose to sack the Juggler, so the face down is decent, whatever it is. And if I waited too long and Extract a Confession, they could just make some dogs. But I guess if they did, I could always just collect evidence to make sure nothing crazy happens. Alright, Hard-Hitting Questions is pretty good here, but I can't play that and Kaya because of the ward. I don't really want to play Kaya without killing one of their creatures, because I can't defend her very well right now. Yeah, so I guess we hit a face down. Kind of weird. What did we kill? Shady Informant? Well, that was a good one to kill. Would have been a 4-2 that kills our flyer when it dies. They are drawing all non-lands here, which means they're not casting more than 1 spell any turn, but it does mean that they are just not running out of action, which is scary. This one is a Dog Walker. Okay. So if I Kaya and I make a Spirit, Kaya's at 4 loyalty. The Spirit blocks the Dog Walker. She takes 2 from 2 dogs. I just do not have the blockers to get her going right now. I guess I could Kaya and Surveil too. She's at 5 loyalty. Then I have no blockers for her unless I hold the Savior back. Ugh. I gotta start doing stuff here. Guess I just don't attack then. I'm gonna hold a land now against opposing unscrupulous agents. Now that we have all the 6 mana we need for basically anything in our deck. Okay, so there is a slice for the Savior. Do they have the double removal? Be so nasty. Yeah, I mean, I think we're dead then, because Kaya's gone and all we have is a makeshift binding.
Good for you. Shuffling me off my motor coil.
Like, I could still draw, like, perfectly for the rest of the game, but can't really afford to, like, hit a single extra land from here on out. This holds off the dogs forever if I don't trade in a dog walker. Still think the trade's fine. And this is the only white spell in our deck at this point, so keep the white source. This is actually, I was going to say, that's actually helpful for us if they kill the Thoroughfare, because then I just thin out another land from my deck. Do I have 7 mana? Yes, I do. Perfect. I guess, just in case of, I don't know what, we should binding with more mana up. We gotta play around Mana Leak, obviously. Gotta play around Mana Leak. For 1 black mana. Eavesdropper was an incredible draw. Getting a 3/3 onto the board and getting a clue token is big here. The 3/3 stops their current board from doing anything, and the clue token puts me up a card. So Eavesdropper is an incredible draw in this kind of position. Swamp is not, but we can sack this clue to draw a card, and Eavesdropper is now attacking as a 4/4 to trade into most of their board, and Stalker is a great draw. So they go to 10, or we trade with most of their board. 2/3 of their board, either way they do it. A 2/2 and 2 1/1s, or 2 2/2s. Any of it's fine for us. I think I should probably hardcast this in case I top deck another hide in plain sight or something like that. So I don't have to dump 5 mana into this next turn. But it does mean they get to know exactly what's up. Okay, take the 4. And now you get to know what's up here with the Basilica Stalker. Arena's being sketchy today. The first video that I recorded for this, it should be up on YouTube by the time you're watching this. Unless I end up recording like 3 and I just don't put the first one up. And the first one, I had a game just fizzle out of existence. It was a game that we were winning, and then I rebooted Arena, logged back in, the game was gone. Didn't count as a win or a loss. So anytime that Arena's getting a little funky, it's been concerning me. I do have the mana to, play this face down and then attack. That way, if one of these is the 6/7 reach and they're going to kill my Stalker for free here, at least I can get the counters on this 5/5 before it dies. Ooh, all right. Well, that's better than if they had the 6/7 reach. That would have been worse for me for sure. But I will still flip this up before my creature dies. Alright. Top deck war, where we are favored on board, but they get the first draw. So it's anyone's game. Interrogators is so good in this kind of position. Actually insane, because we trigger the eavesdropper here. They're black-reds. The only really big face down they could have would be the 6/7 for 7 mana, and if they had that, they would have used it last turn. So, I mean, at worst, this is the 4/2 that deals 2 damage to something when it dies. And it could trade up into the 6/6, but that's not that bad. It's still a 1-for-1 at this point. Ooh. Okay, that is actually worse than the 4/2. Because it's going to kill 2 of our creatures thanks to the indestructible flip. Not used to seeing that one, though, because of... It's just a pretty prohibitive cost there on the flip. Well, trade into our 3/3 or take 3. Or start jumping with dogs, that works too. Was last turn's top deck shock? Oh my god, okay. That is good. Uh-oh. I don't think I can afford the attack here. I've still got another makeshift binding and a murder in the deck, so we wait for something like that before we send into the scoundrel. I imagine the correct play is to just buff the Inspector. I could make Interrogators a one-shot lethal, but... Like, if we're breaking through the Scoundrel, we're breaking through the Scoundrel, we're good. We want to play around the black-red deck having a murder or something to kill Interrogators. Braggart's very good here. Luckily a 5/6 is pretty good at blocking it. Ooh, we actually had 3 removal spells still because we have hard-hitting questions too. Okay, if they have murder in hand and they held it, that was a very good play from our opponent. Shoot, what do I even kill here though? Because they could double block Interrogators. Shoot, am I actually still not attacking? Even if I cast this right now? Might not be. Maybe I just don't play it yet. Maybe I wait till they maybe suspect the Braggart. But if they attacked and suspected it, I would double block and they'd only kill a 2/4, so they're not gonna do that. Alright, well. Kill a Braggart, I guess. They did not just hold on to an instant speed murder there to counter green removal. Getting late enough in the game, low enough on cards in hand, I'm gonna attack into the Scoundrel now, because if both of us keep missing, then we are now 4 turns from killing them with just the Inspector. And I still have a makeshift binding and a murder if they end up drawing to something bigger. There's the makeshift binding. Let's go. Let's go. There is actually a discard 2 in this format. I probably shouldn't have played that land. Card's not incredibly popular, but neither is the Scoundrel, so there's always that chance. I'm so glad to have exile removal when they play that thing. Because if I just murder that, then they get flyers still. But since I exile it, they do not. Now they're down to 2. And then we have instant speed murder. If they only hold 1 blocker up, we go for lethal. That looks like removal. Sure is. Goodbye, Inspector. I'm gonna mill out before this dog kills me. 9 cards in library. So I'm not doing anything about that. I mean, anybody who would murder a puppy is just not somebody that I would associate with anyway. I've certainly chump blocked with a lot of puppies though. Yeah, that's a murder target. This isn't instant, and I have like, what, 12 mana here, so I'm not going to do it right now. Well, I will have to do that before they hit me with the Stalker, so they don't get the trigger value. There's only 2 lands left now. 4 spells. All 4 of the cards left in our deck, all 4 of the non-lands are at least 2 power creatures. No, Shady Informant's actually nuts here. Because it 2-for-1s me against Hide in Plain Sight if I get that. Okay, Inspector, it's fine. We just trade 1-for-1 into each other then. And that's going to be their best play. Just block with Shady Informant to not die, and then they have to just shoot me in the face. So at least they don't kill 2 of my creatures with that Informant at this rate. They're only on 12 lands. They still have probably 4 lands minimum left in their deck. 50% lands in there. And they hit the Onlooker? Gosh. I probably have to trade with this Informant while it is still a 1-for-1. I have no more removal left in my deck to break through these things. And we try to get them in a position where they attack us with Onlooker while we have our disguised flyer. And then surprise get the flyer in. That's our best bet at this point. Well, we know exactly what we're going to hit out of these 4 cards. So we get to... Oh my god. If I do this, I only have 2 cards left. But I have a Sanguine Savior and a land. And if they probably don't attack me at all, then I attack with both. They have to block each individually and then have only 1 creature left. Then I attack with both again next turn and get there. I mean, if I just draw these piecemeal 1 by 1, we're not going to have any chance of breaking through and getting there before we mill out. I think we have to. Is it better, though, to cloak the 2 lands? So that we draw 2 more threats guaranteed? It probably actually is. The reason to cloak the Savior would be to maybe surprise, oops, you're dead to flying. But that's not going to happen, because if they draw a land here, they're just not going to attack at all. And Onlooker is going to be untapped, regardless. Okay, that doesn't help them at all. It's a suspected skeleton that can't block, so they can't declare any attacks. They have to lose the dog. And have 1 blocker up. And we know our draws are Nervous Gardener into Sanguine Savior now. This is unfortunate. We'll draw the flyer last, so we'll draw the flyer to where it'll be summoning sick by the time it attacks. I should have played this face down. There's no reason not to disguise it. But it's basically the same thing either way. This has to hit. Okay. What a close game. Literal one card in the deck. The only way... No, it literally couldn't have been closer. Never mind. I was going to say the only way closer is if we had 0 cards, but we had 0 cards. They pass turn, I draw. There's 0 cards left when we finally hit them for lethal. Scary game of Magic. Very close one, but we do grab a victory again at 2-0 now, heading into game number 3. And with these events being to where you can have 2 losses maximum, that's at least a 50-50 run, no matter what. Here we are for game number 3 with a kind of slow and dirtily hand, but that is likely fine in sealed. If we see mountains and plains from our opponent, we can start getting scared. If we don't, we got time to draw into some nonsense to play in the meantime, and that is not nonsense at all. That's an incredible card to play turn 4. Honestly, I think this is the best card in our deck. Kaya is actually probably second best. Like, we've got the 1/1s to go with her that are great. Really, the unscrupulous agents. And just making spirits is fine too, but the one time we've cast her so far, she has just insta-died. So that was sad. But we'll see how she does this game. I don't imagine this game's going to be short enough that we don't get to at least cast her. Like, it could take a good chunk of time to get to the white source, but we'll have some time with this hide in plain sight. 1/3 Inspector to block 2/2s all day. Ooh. Whenever a creature's power 2 or less enters the battlefield under the control, they drain us for a life. I do not like that at all. So we gotta find our white source for this makeshift binding now. We drew both our white spells again before one of our, 5 different ways to get a white source. The 2 out of 2 before the 1 out of 5. Oh, no, we have 3 white spells. Never mind, I forgot. Okay, well, that's an awkward hit. Little bit. Imagine we take Savior and Interrogators then, since we can actually flip these cards up. But now there's a Binding and a Murder on the bottom of our deck. You know what, I should have taken the Topiary Panther over the Interrogators because they don't investigate when they flip up. Yeah, so 6/5 Trampler is probably better than just a 5/6. I definitely should have taken the Flyer, but 6/5 Trample is superior to 5/6 no abilities. I was really hoping to hit one of my nervous vegetarians, my nervous gardeners. Hey, so we could find the white source, but top decking the white source works too. I'm just gonna go for instant value. Let's go for just at the bare minimum. Shoot. I was gonna say, let's go for at the bare minimum agenting a flyer here, but I could also makeshift binding 1. And then I can flip up my flyer, and then I have 2 different blockers to protect Kaya with when I play her next turn to get rid of their next flyer. Unless I just deal with all their flyers at that point. Yeah. I'm gonna play real safe with Kaya this time around. I guess I get rid of the Cold Case Cracker first since it's actually attacking him. If they don't play another flyer and all they have is a face down, I will probably attack with my 2/1 Flying Lifelinker next turn after I exile their only flyer on board. Because then they would have to be able to kill Inspector and have the mana up to flip a face down flyer face up to kill Kaya. We are losing a tiny bit of lifelink value, but it is worth the mana efficiency of flipping up right now so I can Kaya and play a 2-drop if we hit one. We did not hit one. Okay, there is one counterspell that could counter Kaya here, and it is counter unless I pay 3. That is at uncommon. It's a blue-white multicolored card. If they have the common counterspell, it's counter unless I pay 2, which I have the mana for. Cool. Guarantee we get an exile.
Anybody bothering you? I'll make them suffer.
I guess not guarantee. Their disguised card could flip up and give the board hexproof or something. It could be that 110. Okay, we do get the exile.
People rely a little too heavily on the spirit.
So I wasn't expecting my opponent to hold all this mana up. Because they held all this mana up, if this is the 5 mana 4/3 flyer to flip up, they can flip it, kill the savior, then untap all their lands, kill the inspector, and kill Kaya. So I'm gonna play a little safe around that since they held all this mana up. That's just a little too suspicious to me. Okay, I was gonna say if they tapped out for some nonsense, a draw spell or something on the ground, I would have went in there, but looks like it was for nothing. Maybe it was for the counter unless we pay 2, and then it just wouldn't have worked. Ooh, Lord. Crime Stopper Sprite. And flip up a Mistway Spy, so I do have to take the trade here. Fine. Worth it. Hide in plain sight. Cool, so Inspector blocks there. Let's see what Hide in plain sight finds. Why? I guess Auto Tapper has no way to know what we want here. Cloak 2 of these. Well, land savior. I could just cloak 2 lands so that I've got more non-lands later in the game, but I think having a backup flyer to block with is a pretty big deal right now in protecting Kaya. So we need to play the swamp for it and then start getting the board of nonsense ready. There's no universe where they trade here. Even though it would be a bad trade for me. Trade my 5/6 down into a 2/2. Still worth the attack because I don't think they would ever declare that block. Murder the 1/3. So we have to chump block with our spirit. Aha! No, we don't. Okay. Exile. What is the ability? When one or more creatures you control and or creatures in your grave are put into exile. So if I surveil 2, then exile a card from grave, I can make my token a copy of a 2/1 lifelink this turn or something. That's cute, but I imagine it's almost always better to just get a spirit.
I play by my own
Unless I just have something massive chilling in my graveyard, which I do not. I don't even really need this mana. I'm just excited about the ability to have a clue to play it. So that was unnecessary, but won't matter unless they have a board wipe. That I'm overextending a bit here. I'll just stop playing creatures if we hit more at this point. Like we're so locked in here. Send a message, exile the 2 hide in plain sights. Fair enough. If I crack this next turn, I get 1 more damage, but if I crack it now and I hit some big spells, I can afford anything I want to do. Because I am dumping 6 into the interrogators right now. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna hold on to this warden thing. I think we're already so far in the lead. There are some board wipes at rare, and you can open up to like 16 rares if you're insanely lucky. Just make sure I don't get board wiped. You know what? I might have missed lethal. No, I needed to do 3 more damage. I could have only done 2 more damage. I was going to say maybe playing this and then exiling it in their tracker would kill them, but not quite. Oh no, it would. It would have killed them. Oh, because the special ability. Yeah, I forgot about the special. Because of the passive ability, we missed lethal there. If I played the warden and then exiled the warden and the tracker on board, I'd be dealing... Oh wait, no, I'd still miss lethal because I wouldn't have the mana up for interrogators. Well, no, I would, because I could play this land, and then that's 3 mana up to play this face down. Okay, play a face down warden. Exile my warden and their tracker. Then one of the flyers is a 4/4 warden. And I hit for 5, 6, 7. I hit for, what? 4 more damage than I was going to do there. Or even if the way that it works is that I just make a flyer a 2/2 disguise, that would still be 3 more damage than I was hitting for that turn. So yeah, actually missed lethal there for future reference. I'm actually interested to know how that works. If I play this face down and then I exile this in their tracker, is the creature that I put into exile that I'm making something a copy of, is that just I'm making it a 2/2 disguise? Or am I making it the front half? Am I making it the 4/4? Because the card's going to be exiled face up, even if it was put on the board face down. I don't actually know. That's interesting to think about. All right, here we are for game number 4. We are 3-0 right now with a very good start here. Perfect mana thanks to a land cycler and 2 gardeners. Very happy about this. With double gardener, I don't even think I'm gonna land cycle the Panther. I'll keep that to be able to play just a large trampler later in the game. There's the hide in plain sight, an absolute MVP so far. I don't expect this game to be any different. Playing against blue-red. See, now I'm a little tempted to cycle the Panther because we haven't hit another land naturally here. And actually the ability to just cast hide in plain sight turn 4 is quite appealing. So just morph one of these gardeners, disguise one of the gardeners turn 3, then just cast a hide in plain sight turn 4 seems ideal. So let's set up for that. Let's guarantee that's going to happen here. Okay. So our opponent's going to sacrifice their clue to give this unblock ability so they can draw a card, discard a card on the attack. If they don't, I'm snapping off this trade, but I imagine they're just doing the combo. By sacking clue tokens, they give this unblock ability, they get even more card selection off of it. Very good card. Very good card. Wojak Investigator, another very good card. If I have more cards in my hand than them, then they get to investigate during their upkeep every turn, which I'm gonna have more cards in hand than them. Because I'm on the draw. That's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, if I really want to stop them from investigating, I could... Actually, I can't. I was going to say I could Agent plus Gardener, but I can't do that because it exiles a card from their hand, so they'd still have more than me. That's awkward. Okay, then. Wow. Yeah, I kind of want to just hit 2 lands so that we have higher odds of hitting non-lands later in the game. Now our odds of just drawing into more lands are really high if I'm putting 5 non-lands on bottom. Well, 3 on bottom. Saviors aren't even very good against a 2/4. That thing's just so big. I actually have no idea what I'm even choosing here. Just like Tipster and Question. Just one of the Saviors. I guess they're better than anything else, but they're also better to have on the bottom of my deck. Yeah, I'll go with like 1 Tipster, 1 Savior, I guess, since we can actually flip those. Yep. This Investigator is... Well, since they sacked a clue, never mind. I was going to say, this Investigator's sort of an endless supply of clues for them to keep getting the Courier in unblockably, but it is not, because if they keep sacking the clues towards the Courier, they're going to have more cards in hand than me, since they'll keep drawing cards, but... Wow, yeah, if they have enough really cheap stuff on their mana curve, they can do it, and they do have the cheap stuff here. I can only play 1 card unless I agent them. I guess I only have to play 1 card right now to be down to 4 cards in hand and stop them from investigating next turn. I have no combat tricks, so I can't get into that 2/4. I can play a Stalker face down and an Agent face up this turn, and they don't investigate. That would be 3 cards in hand to 3 cards in hand. I could also just play the Stalker face down and flip up my Mole, make it a 2/2 face up mana dork for the future. And they still don't investigate that turn, but I kind of like getting the wide board with the Crowd Control Warden in hand here. This Investigator is soloing me right now. I can't block it and I can't attack into it. And just put all the cards on bottom in a random order. There was a hard-hitting question down there that could have killed Investigator, but we haven't hit our Murder or either of our Makeshift Bindings or our Kaya, so we still have like 4 outs to blowing up Investigator and just slamming in. Alright, Unblockable Courier again. I mean, they're dealing a quarter of our life total every turn. We only have 2 more turns to live after this. Okay, which one of these sucks the most? It's the hard-hitting questions, right? Wait, no. We didn't put hard-hitting questions face down. I'm going crazy. Shoot, these are all actually decent. Maybe it's the Tipster that we trade in for the Detective. And Tipster or the Gardener. I think we need to stop the damage here. Let's go Tipster. Oh my lord, there's a Steam Core Scholar now. So a 2/2 flying Vigilance that also draws 2, discards 1 when they play it. Very, very good card. Just incredible value at the enter the battlefield effect, so even if your opponent just kills it with removal, you're like, okay, I'm still ahead in this exchange. Our opponent is on the 3 mana value rares deck, which is terrifying. Got 6 mana to, it's 5 to flip this up. Spend 5 to flip up the Stalker and 1 to flip up the Gardener, I guess. I am kind of at that point now. And then they're just going to kill Stalker with like 1 removal spell and we are going to die. So the alternative here is to play a super beefy Warden, but then if they kill that with 1 removal spell, we're also going to die. Because the idea of playing the Warden would be to play that into giving it lifelink on a future swing to get back in here. Yeah, either way we're super dead to removal, so I guess we'll just try to kill something on blocks and see if we get anywhere here. That's a detective too? Yep, it's a weird with a hat on, which makes it a detective. So we flip the small flyer then, I guess. Lifelinking Unscrupulous Agent, let's go. Yeah, I mean, a 4/2 is going to trade into the 2/1 or the 3/4 flyer, so we try to do the 2/1 flyer. And there's the instant speed removal. I guess it's not removal, it just taps it. But still. Still an absolute nightmare. Down to 4. 6, 7 mana. Boy. Now I have to trade my 3/4 flyer into their Scholar. And try to not die on the ground. If they have anything, we're dead. We play the Gardener to stop them from investigating and to have a backup ground blocker. Actually, we're already dead. Because they got a clue from out cold. So they just sack the clue. And even if I flip 1 flying blocker, I can block the Steam Core Scholar, take 5. Yeah. Alright. That'll get us. Just 3 mana rare flying value engines. Which we could compete with. Like, we have the cards to deal with this stuff. We're a very removal heavy deck. We just didn't hit the removal this game, so that's just how it's gonna go. You need the removal for these kind of cards, or they're gonna take control of things, and we didn't draw any removal, so they took control of things. And 3-1 it'll be heading into game 5. Might as well let them play another instant speed removal spell for fun. Oh my god. Yeah. Very nice. 3-1. Halfway towards being out of the event. Only 2 losses available in these qualifier play-ins. Here we are for game number 5. With a beautiful hand. We probably hold on to the Inspector because we're likely to land cycle the Panther. If we don't... Never mind. I was going to say, we're likely to land cycle the Panther if we don't hit like 2 lands in a row, and then we hit 2 lands in a row, so... Now we're at 5 out of 6 mana towards just casting it later in the game. But yeah, if we drew like a non-land or 2, we might have cycled this and then played a 2/4 Inspector. That is not the case, though. Oh, Case File Auditor into Case of the Stashed Skeleton. Wombo combo. Alright. That ain't Falco. Let's pass the turn. I like having double hard-hitting question, but I don't really have enough power to kill this thing right now. I could kill their suspected skeleton, but you don't want to kill their suspected skeleton. Because then they get to search for their best bomb in their whole deck. That is the most suspicious thing I've ever seen. We know you have Case of the Stashed Skeleton, you hold up 4 mana. In black-white? I mean, it's not a counter spell. What is happening? I do not know the rarer cards in this format enough to know what this is here. Because it's... What the heck? This is just what the heck? Just instant speed removal or something? It's the only thing I can think of at like the common level. Okay. Well, they've got no flyers right now. But I don't even need flying to break in for 2 damage. I can just do that by attacking, period. So it's probably Agent Savior. Maybe it's just a board wipe from them? They just didn't want to overcommit to the board? That wouldn't make sense either. If it was a board wipe, then you just play Case of the Stashed Skeleton. And then when you board wipe, your skeleton's gone and you get to use it. I don't think I'm going to play around a board wipe here. I'm going to play the Agent and the Savior still. And then I'm going to get board wiped and we'll cry about it. Yeah, if they have a board wipe in this hand, their hand's like perfect for disguising a board wipe. Because they get to Auditor, it draws them a card when they play it, then they drew into the case, they get to play the case where they actively want to board wipe away their skeleton. So, I mean, if they got it, they got it. Face down card makes it quite unlikely that they have a board wipe yet. Alright, I've got an issue here. The issue is I kind of want to play a 6/5 trample, but if I do, I will not be able to play any white spells if I draw into them. So, should I not play it right now? I feel like this board state still looks like I should just play it. It's like put so much pressure on. Please tell me that's the land. That would be so nice. It's not the land. All right, that's fine. That would have been the sickest, though. Pass turn. What is going on with you? What is going on with you? Well, they can't kill my flyer on blocks, even if I leave it face down. But I could get a big lifelink swing right now. I imagine there's no point in flipping it up unless I have to. Right, I'm still at 18. I don't need to get the lifelink swing here. So we'll just attack with everybody. If they put the 1/4 onto the flyer, that's fine. Is it is a board wipe? It is soul enervation for instant speed removal. No! Oh my god, make my Panther a 2/1? That's excessively rude. Dang. Alright. That's super good here. Sure. And I guess the Auditor, let's just send a message. That thing's annoyed me enough. Stop. Now they have no blockers on board. Holding a land for opposing unscrupulous agents like usual. If our opponents are running the Mind Rot, I'm probably just going to get caught. Assemble the players. Well, could be fine for me. Right? Like sometimes your opponent will just play that and then they only get to draw 1 or 2 cards. But if the game goes really long and they get to draw 3+ cards, that's an issue. That is the kind of card that can win a top deck war. Destroy Vitu-Ghazi thingy thing. Okay. Very chill with that. I guess they didn't have the mana to kill one of my ward cards. Okay, and now we have drawn the white source. Even if I draw into a white card. So that makes me feel even better about slamming down the 6/5 trample. I mean, it did kind of just die, but still. Murder the flyer. Yep, good choice. You got it. Well done. But they're also dead on board. Because their only creature cannot block. Because it's a suspected skeleton. That skeleton's a criminal, and we all know it. Skeleton is sus. We are now 4-1. This would be the in the money point if I were paying with gems, but since I'm paying with play-in points, basically anything is in the money, even our 0-2 run yesterday. So we'll absolutely take that. I mean, 4,500 gems. It costs 4,000 gems if you're paying with gems. Really, really great value at this point. That's going to lock us into, what, 18,000 gems in the account? Nice, healthy margin. I try to sit around 20,000 to feel pretty comfy. but I have gone quite a bit down in gems lately. Just had to spew a lot on recent like arena opens, I think. And then arena cube, yeah, I threw all my gems into cube to turn it into more gold because gold is the more efficient way to pay for arena opens in the future. So yeah, we're pretty low on gems now. Having this 4,500 come back into the account, it's going to feel real nice. And even if we get knocked out of this qualifier play-in, we've got another one next week, qualifier best of 3 play-in, that I can throw even more play-in points into. So we'll see. I don't want to write it off yet. This deck's been doing great, and we are 4-1 now, but I'm just saying, we got some monies here with these gems. Here we are for game number 6 with kind of like the exact same little Dirtlefest start we have had every time, with just like Inspector and Agent just kind of sitting there. I mean, sure. There's a public thoroughfare. That's pretty nice. It is awkward that we have to tap 2 lands to play it. It comes in tapped and we tap another land, but it does make the mana quite nice. Sitting against a 1/3 here. Cool to play Inspector and soak up all the damage for now, or just get Thoroughfare out of the way. I'm just going to get Thoroughfare out of the way. Take 1 damage. Face down card. Okay, there's a Tipster. Cannot kill face down with Hard in question. Could just play a face up Savior. Most mana efficient way to do it, but then the Tunnel Tipster's not going to get a counter from it, which it could if I did things the other way. But then I can just like play a face up Savior, so next turn I send in the sky and play Tipster plus Inspector or something. I kind of like just playing it face up here to start beating down in the sky. Because its flip ability isn't that necessary. You don't need that disguise flip to have value off the card, unlike some of the others like Dog Walker, where it's like you flip it up, you get 2 dogs. If you just play it, you don't get any of the dogs. This is like, if we flip it up later, we gain another 2 to 4 life. Ooh, Torch the Witness. They actually overspent on that, but I doubt they had a 1 mana play anyway. If they just spent a red and 1, they still would have gotten the clue. But yeah, that's nasty. This removal spell's ridiculous. Kill a creature and draw a card with a clue. You hate to see it. I guess that would have been the biggest reason to play it face down, is just for ward. You know, I am kind of on my way towards getting some evidence here. Let's go for the Unscrupulous Agent. They're stuck on 3 mana, so we know it's all non-lands in there. It's some kind of gas, some action we're getting rid of. Got rid of a 6/7 reach. I mean, I'll take that. It's not super relevant right now, but if the game lasts a long time, that would have been a pretty big deal. And would definitely pull one of my removal spells out of my hand at worst. Or at best, actually. If I was out of removal by the time that came out, that would just kill me. Ew, 2 for 1 again. 3/3 that draws them a card off the clue. Yep, and now we're falling monumentally behind. We have to draw something big, otherwise we're just dying to an eavesdropper. I guess that's big enough to the point where I have to makeshift binding it, which is so awkward, because hard-hitting question's not going to be able to kill anything with these creatures. But if I don't kill this, they got a 4/4 vigilance coming in any turn, or every turn, and I don't have any way to block that well. Okay. Always feels miserable to use removal on something that just like drew them a card when it hit the board like that. Because we're just down another card in that exchange. Oh boy, yep. Well, GG then. Yeah, I mean, if I still had binding to kill Kellen, I could kill that, but if I did, I would be taking 4 damage a turn instead of 3, so it actually, damage-wise, ended up playing better to kill the Loxodon thing. At least for now. Like, we're dying slower this way, even if the card is a rare. Our board isn't big enough to block a 4/4 Vigilance. I guess at least we could jump block a couple turns and try to draw into something, but yeah, like, we are not breaking through all this, just hitting lands here with hard-hitting question that does nothing. I don't know, I feel like I jinxed myself in between games. But it is what it is. These are not big enough to use hard-hitting question, so we're mega dead. Agent, or a savior I can actually flip up and then a land. Oh, Murder and Kaya would have been sweet draws earlier. But now they're on bottom of my deck. Cool. I guess I have 3 toughness. No, 3 flying power to block the Kellen. And it's at instant speed. It still doesn't really matter though, because now the 6/5 Trampler's killing me too. And scratch that, not to block Kellen, to block the Cold Case Cracker, because I can actually trade into that. They just blow up the 1 through, just whatever. Don't need it. Well, I can get lifelink there, so I'm at 10 right now, essentially, if they don't have a trick. So I'm at 10 life, taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this is big enough, I'm just dead, but otherwise, I go to 4. And either way, I have no board after this. Alright, well, we're dead. Oh no, I'm still at 1, never mind. My math is off by 1. Alright, that's not big enough to matter. I guess I get to chomp chomp. We might as well. It's the last game. If we lose this, it's 4-2. Grab a planes because it's cute. Might as well see what other nonsense our opponent is up to with their hand. Face down card. Oh, Lord. A solved Case of the Trampled Garden. So 2 +1/+1 counters, and then whenever they attack, they get a +1/+1 on an attacking creature and give it trample, and we just have Flood over here. Really bad game for a hard-hitting question. Real bad game. Alright, 4-2, it's gonna be still a very respectable run this time around for the qualifier play-in, especially after the 0-2 start. That one was functionally a 1-2, but Arena just deleted our 1 win, which was really disappointing. So, you could kind of say we went 5-4 in the qualifier play-in this time around. Slightly above average run at worst, even if you go with the actual non-arena glitch outcome. We went 4-4, which is an exact 50-50, which is fine for a competitive event like this. We take those. We turned a bunch of useless play-in points into 5,000 gems, 4,500 this time around, 500 on the first run. So we'll take it. nice juicy chunk of gems for the collection, and I actually had a lot of fun playing the sealed this time around. I don't think either of our sealed pools were incredible. I did far prefer this one to the first one, not just because of the results, but I think that the deck that we built and the rares were a lot more fun, and I do think that this is just straight up like the best build that we had for the sealed pool. I think it was a much less nebulous sealed pool to build. The first time around, I wasn't confident that we went the right direction. I think Boros was fine as well. I think Boros was like equally powerful. With the way that the games played out the first time around, like, I mean, we drew incredible. We had the deck that we built functioning about as powerful as that Boros deck was ever going to be, and still lost. So I don't think it like changed the outcome the way we built the first sealed pool, but I don't know if it was like objectively the best deck, but I'm pretty sure this one is as close as we can get to just the best deck available to the sealed pool. So pretty happy with how I built the deck today. Pretty happy with how I played in general. I think the only like big misplay I can think of, there was no like massive misplays, but most of the misplays were contained to our final loss there, like deciding to try to tempo out and just play the savior face up, just forgetting about the ward value. Sometimes just that ward is pretty nice to slow down your opponent's removal, make sure you've got a creature down early. Again, with how we drew versus how our opponent drew throughout that game, I highly doubt even the perfect plays would have won the game. But having disguised out the savior early would have played a little better. And there was another like one or two plays that could have gone slightly better. Again, nothing that would have really drastically changed anything there to the point of winning, I'm pretty sure. So here's one last look at today's deck. Pretty fun one. Perfectly solid sealed pool here, just not quite enough to get to the 7-win run. So that is going to end the qualifier play-in event this time around for me. I only have time to record about a couple videos a day on weekends because I do have my day job. So just 2 runs of the qualifier play-in, unfortunately, but we've got more than enough play-in points to do 2 more runs next weekend when there is going to be the qualifier play-in best of 3 event. So that's going to be next Friday. It's going to be more murders at Karlov Manor sealed, but we'll be playing best of 3 rounds. I think you can only lose 1 round and then you're out, but you only have to win like 4 rounds, something like that. Either way, next weekend, next Saturday and Sunday, you could expect 2 more qualifier play-in videos if you're interested in more competitive murders at Karlov Manor sealed. But until then, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you're interested in seeing some more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.